and I've talked about this before, like YouTube, as I kind of see it as the Matrix. When that part they upload all these different programs to him, but it's more of a long form. You watch a video. I mean, granted, you can put shit in your head. It's kind of like a diet. You could like watch all these crappy videos and you get dumber just by watching them. But you could also do the other side of the fence where you start learning about mitochondria, your how different foods affect your diet, and there's experts on there that are actually giving this information free. And I found the things that kind of interest me, and I kind of just started going down rabbit holes of that. And I always found the human body being like, so I know it's compared to a machine a lot, but I think it's more than that. I feel that it's a amazing organism that is like that. I think it's narcissistic on a lot of levels that humans try to recreate themselves in the sense of like AI. I feel like the human body. I mean, people can look at it as like it has all these faults. It's prone to cancer. It's prone to this. It's prone to that. And I think a lot of it has to do with the things you just talked about of not understanding like how your environment is impacting this system, this organism, or your organism, myself, and once we understand that, there wouldn't be a need for it. Like I understand like how AI could be used in as far as you know assisting us in daily life through technology, but in the sense of replacing us, it it doesn't make sense because we're like reinventing the wheel, but like a more inefficient wheel. If does that make sense? Where I'm going with
Absolutely. I'm
it?
glad you touched on that. So think about evolution, right? How far we've come in such a short period of time, right? So there's over 80,000 man-made chemicals in the environment, and that grows every year, right? And then think about how we evolved as humans, hunter-gatherers, right? We went from these people that threw spears and bows and arrows to all of a sudden connected to every piece of technology you own. Your mind's going 6 million miles an hour, and you're constantly bombarded by stressors in the environment, and we don't shut it off, right? You think of the saber-toothed tiger, immediate threat, and then it's gone, and you're back to hanging out in nature all day, right? Those are the easy days. Those days
Hmm.
are gone, right? And we're evolving. Our environment has evolved hyper fast, right? Hyper speed. We haven't evolved yet to that. We're doing it now, right? That's why you're seeing all this disease and dysfunction because we're not adapted to that environment yet. It'll happen. I don't know what we're going to look like physically and psychologically in a couple hundred years, but I can imagine from what I've already seen in my lifetime. Think of the kids, right? Look at them, with technology and being attached to phones and video games and everything. They're evolving right to that environment. But look at the older generation. Like, I can't keep that pace that these kids are being forced to do now, right? With school,
Right. I
and,
agree.
so we got to look at that and understand that environmental change that's happened. And like I said, we got to get back to the basics, man. As we're advancing as society, we're devolving as a species, right? Psychologically, physiologically, getting fat, sick, tired, mental problems, suicides, cancers. We're devolving, right? We're not adapting well to that environment. And so I think literally get back to the basics. We used to say it in the military all the time, right? Keep it simple, stupid. We need to do
Yeah.
that, right? We need to do that as a society is to say, all right, we need to say no to some things and we need to slow down. We need to slow down a little bit. If not, you see the end result of what happens when you can't adapt to that environment, right? People
Right.
feel like they don't meet the standard, they self-assess, they beat themselves up mentally, physically, they can't keep up, and then it's self-destruction.
Yeah,
And
I think convenience is one of our biggest threats because the more we rely on something else, whether it be a Fitbit watch or a GPS or what have you, it starts to we're not no longer using our senses of being aware of ourself, and through that I think we lose ourselves. I mean, it will expand, like it's just like a domino effect. It's just like one thing after another, and then we start, like, even though we're supposed to be more connected because of the internet, we're
okay.
more disconnected because it's not our natural way to communicate via virtually. And you factor in the mass thing now, you don't have the social cues, so it's hard to tell if somebody's like giving you shit
Well,
or not because you can't tell.
60% of communication is nonverbal. Think about
Right.
that, right? Dehumanizing is what we're doing. Think about shooting paper targets, right? That's why you did that. You dehumanize it. So when it comes in front of you, you just pull the trigger and don't think twice. And that we're seeing that now with COVID-19. People are dehumanizing, right? oh, you're an anti-masker or you're a masker.
Hmm.
Right? We're polar, right? We're splitting right down the people in the middle. We're not looking at people anymore. We're looking at problems, and that's what happens when you get target fixated on everything being bad and negative. You dehumanize it, and you're not seeing people. And if you look at it, most people want the same things, right? I mean, we've got socially engineered to split for a reason. That wasn't by mistake, but it's to maintain control and power over people, to influence them, to make decisions, right? I mean, psychological operations. We have a branch for that in the military,
Right.
and you can see it's to control people the way you want them to be. And I think the more when people wake up to that fact and they're like, "Wow, man, I don't care who you sleep with. I don't care who you vote for. I don't care who you pray to. I don't care, man." Like that's one of the best things about mountain biking. We're not all the same, dude. Like
Right.
that more than anybody, right? But on that trail, everybody's same. And all you care about is doing that one thing. It's the other things that are programmed into us in our off time that are telling us to be different. We're not different, man. And I just had that conversation with a buddy today, whether it's music, sports, mountain biking, it's universal language, right? It's people can all relate, and you find that you have more things in common than you do different. And the quicker we can get away from being programmed to being told we shouldn't like that person, the better off we're going to be as a society. So,
I agree. I agree. I mean, it's not that I'm disagreeing with you, but I've had a lot of these same discussions, whether on the podcast or with other people. And shit, just the other day when we were talking on the phone, like we were just like, back, like, right, right. It's kind of one of those things. Because at times I do, when I have some of these conversations with some people, they kind of look at me like, "Hey, you think about shit too much, or that you this, and it's just like, no,
use your brain.
I,
Like,
you think you're better than me? No, no, but I agree. I mean, mountain biking is kind of and one thing I love about it is that it will humble the shit out of you. Like if you're not paying attention or if you're trying to show off or you're trying to, I mean, I've got caught in it, all kinds of these things, Somebody with a camera, I didn't realize how that affects you when you're riding. And maybe it's just me. Maybe it's my ego popping up like, hey, let's show off. And I do believe that's what led to this injury.
hey,
Um,
congratulations, you're a male. You're the American male.
right, right,
That's how we
right.
grew up.
So
That's how it was. Like
that's
think about the days where we built the biggest wooden ramp we could huck ourselves off. Right, you were the legend in the neighborhood. Like
right.
that's our generation, man. That's how we grew up, and that's what makes us who we are, successful, because you're not afraid to fail. You're not afraid to get injured. Fear is what holds people back from greatness. And once people understand that they hold the keys to their own prisons, they're their own obstacle in the way from everything they want in life, they're unstoppable. And that's one thing that sports, look at I'll give this generation credit, the most phenomenal athletes I've ever seen. Mountain biking, skateboarding, surfing, whatever it is, these kids blew the doors off us, right? They're not afraid to get hurt, right? These kids are amazing. Like I look at them like, dude, I know what I do for a living. I wouldn't do that crap. And they probably look at me and say the same thing about what I do for a living. I wouldn't do that crap. But that's mutual respect, right? It goes back to everything we were just talking about. But sports, right? If you want to be great, you're going to get burned. You're going to get hurt. And
Right.
once you overcome that and you're going to get hurt and you're going to get burned, then that's when you can grow psychologically and physiologically, right? You're going to develop. And that's adapting to that environment. That's a lot of kids are losing that these days. But these sports like mountain biking, we're talking about surfing, that's developing these kids to not be afraid. That's phenomenal, right? If one thing this sport teaches you, it's that. And that's, something we need to stick to.
And that's one thing.